If you're typing on a smartphone in 2014, it's all but guaranteed you're doing it on a virtual keyboard. But for a lot of people, virtual isn't real enough. If you use an iPhone and you long for the days when you can actually touch the keys on your keyboard, well, there might be a solution. Emphasis on might. I'm Andrew with MobileBurn.com reviewing the Typo Keyboard for the iPhone 5 and iPhone 5S. BlackBerry is pretty much the only company that still does hardware keyboards, and even they went virtual with the BlackBerry Z10 last year. But for whatever reason, this phone wasn't successful. The iPhone 5S and 5 are definitely successful. But like I mentioned, there are still those people out there who really would like to have that hardware keyboard. So this kind of tries to be the bridge between what you want and what you need. And the case is pretty simple. It has openings for your buttons at the top, the camera, and your power button, of course. But what really draws people in, of course, is the keyboard. There are a couple of issues with that, however. When I pull the case apart, you notice that it was covering the home button. So if you use Touch ID, you don't anymore if you try to switch to Typo. It also means that to access the home button, you have to tap this little tiny button in the bottom right corner. So when I double tap that, it brings up my, it's as if I double tap the home button. That's pretty much how it treats it. So whatever you do, you just press home and then it takes you there. It pairs through Bluetooth, so it's very easy to set up. Within less than 20 seconds, you're ready to go. And it charges on the left hand side with a micro USB. And when you need to charge your actual iPhone, you have this little groove right here that allows your cable to go in, and also if you have a headphone that you want to plug in. The material on the case is a matte finish plastic, practically rubbery. It feels pretty nice actually, so I won't really complain about that. The keyboard itself is kind of narrow, so you will have to adjust. It's not going to be just like a BlackBerry, even though, as you can tell from this layout, it's pretty obvious where they got the idea to create this keyboard. At the same time, it's not quite like a BlackBerry because it has to conform to the way that Apple builds its phones. So you'll notice that the phone becomes noticeably larger. It's a little bit thicker now because the keyboard actually is raised up. Another issue that you'll run into with this is that it might be sometimes hard to get the control panel because the way this is a flat surface and it comes out towards you. Sometimes it's hard you really have to put your finger down, get pressure, and then swipe up. Sometimes it doesn't recognize it. So it becomes annoying after a while. But let's move on to actually typing on the Typo keyboard because hence the name, that's what you came here for. Typo's design is so original. Said no one ever. It's pretty obvious that you can just take one look at this and say that they're copying BlackBerry, and I don't think they even tried to hide it. It has the same 4-row keyboard. It has the same split layout. So on the left-hand side, you have keys that counteract to you pressing down on them to prevent you from slipping and hitting the next key in error. And on the right-hand side, it's the same thing, but they slope in a different direction. So it pretty much copied the concept that you saw on the BlackBerry Q10 and made it the same. It's got the same dividers, except the difference is in materials. This is a little more plasticky, a little more clicky when you type on it. It gets kind of loud, but you only notice it when you're in a quiet location. So it's not the worst thing in the world, but if you're in a quiet location and you need to be quiet, that can be kind of annoying. Aside from that, when you're typing on it, it feels a little bit awkward sometimes because the way that the case is positioned, they have to leave openings for the cords that you plug in. So if you try to type while you have your headphones or charging cable in, it gets pretty uncomfortable because of the way that you hold it. You hold it from the back with 2 thumbs. But if you're able to type really fast, it can be something that you get used to, and it gives you the right amount of response that you were looking for. Returning to a physical keyboard on an iPhone takes a little bit of adjustments because you have to give up some things. As much as you gain, you also lose. So for instance, autocorrection is gone because Apple doesn't allow you to tie into its autocorrection engine. But they have built some correction in here. So if I type CANT space, it knows that I meant to type can't, inserts the apostrophe for me. Same thing with IM becomes I'm. But if you misspell a word, there's no correction. So if I put GR WWN, it doesn't recognize that I meant to type green. Had I done that with a virtual keyboard, it would have seen that. So that's one thing that you have to get rid of. Another is you have to remember where signs and punctuation are because that's buried as a secondary character that you access by pressing Alt. So if I want to say go, and a question mark, I type Alt and B to get to the question mark. Alright, let's try a couple of unscientific typing tests. This is without the keyboard connected. So, okay, according to this, I type about 60 words per minute when I'm just using the virtual keyboard. One of the great things about Typo is that you get a lot more screen real estate when you don't have a virtual keyboard taking up half the display. But at the same time, Typo creates as many problems as it solves. I've already outlined my issues with the Touch ID sensor being covered, the cords, and the limited battery life. So when you factor in those problems, you have to consider, what are you really gaining, and is it better than what you're losing? Because of that, there are only two types of people that I think would enjoy Typo. Someone who's a brand new iPhone convert coming over from a physical keyboard, or someone who has had an iPhone for a long time and proven completely inept at typing on a virtual keyboard. During my time with the device, I was able to be consistently faster and more accurate with the virtual keyboard than I was with Typo itself. And this isn't a fault of physical keyboards, because when I had the BlackBerry Q10, I was more accurate and faster on that device than I am with Typo and on the iPhone, a device that I use more consistently. So because of the problems that I've outlined, I really wouldn't recommend this unless you desperately need a physical keyboard on your iPhone. And at $99, I think it's a very small audience of people that would buy this and truly enjoy it all the time. If you'd like to know more about my thoughts on Typo, be sure to click the link in the description below. And if you're insistent on trying this out and you think you might be among that select group of people that would benefit from it, you can get more information at typokeyboard.com. This is Andrew from mobileburn.com. Hope you enjoyed the video, and if so, click like and subscribe. Until next time, thanks for watching.